Hi, my name is Jim Lal-Tabak. Welcome to this healing energy treatment. And we'll be, I'm going to talk a little bit first, and then we'll get into the healing treatment. So I wanted to talk about um, what I consider to be an important and very big difference between Western medicine and holistic slash Eastern Indian medicine. And one of the main things that happened in the 1880s was the discovery of bacteria, and and so we found proof that germs and viruses existed, and they often were found to be um, and thought to be the cause of disease. And there was pretty good evidence of that. Um, However, there's a few details that were missed, and one is that we have all kinds of bacteria and other kinds of living organisms that we are in um, harmony with. So all the bugs are not bad guys, right? So that's the first thing. And then the second very interesting thing is, well, Western medicine tends to think of you have a disease, and then you have something that you will cure it with. And oftentimes in Indian, for example, Indian medicine, um, they believe that if there's a problem, it's because there's a problem with balance. So that if life is out, if nature and your relationship to nature is out of balance, that's where the problem comes in. So I often talk about, for example, healthy bacteria and unhealthy bacteria. We need a little bit of unhealthy bacteria in our bodies because the body learns how to um, keep it in check and how to fight against it. If it didn't have any information about it and it was introduced, we would then be a, a sort of easy target for the bacteria or virus. And so we need a little bit of that, not too much, but enough so the body learns how to just fight it off or whatever. So that's the other thing. A lot of the Western ideas are that there's this outside force, and then it comes in and attacks, and then um, we need to put something to fight that, whatever that force is, right? So that's the idea. But the other idea could be that we need to build up our defenses, our immune system, and that will, because that will stave off perhaps, and if you're in balance, you're strong enough, you don't take on that, that intruder does not. And there's no doubt that can be intruders, but well, how do you deal with that intruder, right? How do you remedy that problem? And so, again, in Ayurveda, Indian medicine, Chinese medicine, holistic medicine, the idea that we can organize and internally and adjust how our body is functioning. And then why if you have two people, one gets sick and the other doesn't? Well, what's the difference? And then you might say, well, it's genetic, and it can be, but there also can be just how the person's lifestyle is and how they're in in harmony with nature. So the point I want to make for, especially for the energy work, is that we need to keep our mindset that is not about fighting disease, right? That we're not always fighting, that we can be in harmony. And so with energy work, it's not a fear of nature, right? It's important that we keep our concept of nature, that nature has lessons to teach us. And that's how science, I think, works, is that it learns from our environment, and it learns, and we can learn from what's inside us and what's outside. So that to me is more beneficial, and we can see and feel things because we are open. Because once you're afraid of something, the walls go up, right? The walls go up, and then we set these boundaries or walls, and then energy says, okay, well, I'm not going to force. You can't. I'm a what do they call it? Like low voltage, right? And low voltage, it's like your doorbell. You're not going to get electrocuted by that. Its energy is low voltage. It's quiet and peaceful, and not easily. You almost have to say, please come in and open the door for it. Otherwise, you can block it. It's and that's a good thing, I think. But we want to keep our minds, our bodies available to this healing potential. And that's one of the ways to do it, is to not be fearful, not be think that there's something out there to get me, and I've got to fight it, or I've got to, something. And I'm not saying don't keep a clean environment. That's essential, because we live in a toxic world, but we still need to say, oh, the universe, the world is for me. It's for me. It's not, I have to fight against it. And a lot of people are caught up in that idea that, life is a struggle, fight to the bitter end, right? And so I would suggest that we don't do that anymore, that we open our hearts and our minds and our spirits to the flow of the infinite nature and infinite power of the universe. So with that, I think I've talked enough, and I'm going to go and start with this. Part of this is how we set our intention. The intention to be open, to suspend perhaps disbeliefs and some of the common programming that we've received over the years, that there's a threat is outside, and inside we're these targets, instead of, well, if I balance my system both in and out, then I'm going to be in a harmonious, healthy state, right? So and one last thing I just wanted to say: Indian medicine, when they find solutions to people's maladies, so to speak, it's always about balance and looking to nature and how to balance our lives. So, for example, someone might have a kind of what they call a constitutional type that is fiery. And so eating spicy foods, spending a lot of time out in hot weather, those are all things that would need to be avoided to balance. Balancing would mean cooler, less stressful environment, not as much activity and pressure and things like that. And so those are just ways to de-stress, but some people need to de-stress in different ways. Anyway, that's the kind of I just want to say that's the kind of medicine we practice, and it can be very effective. That's the underlying understanding of how do we stay healthy, and and so it's also, I have to say, it's also okay if you have an emergency, always go to the emergency room if you really need to. Don't, because we don't know everything, right? We need to be open to all the possibilities in what is needed to keep ourselves healthy. So anyway, enough of that talk. And I think most people that we're going to come are here now. So I just want to say thank you for coming. I want you to start with gratitude. Think of something you're grateful for. Gratitude, and it also helps to open up the channels for energy to flow. When you reduce the all the walls and boundaries that might stop you from receiving healing treatments. So think about things for a moment that could be anything from the days are getting longer, if you're happy about that, or the weather is slowly getting warmer. I appreciate that. It's not anything at all. Can still tie my shoes. Great. Something like that. I still can see, or whatever. I'm really grateful for all kinds of things in my life, and I hope you can find some too. And then let's go to the intention of being whatever that might be, available to receive treatment, to stay present and open. And to not make whatever the symptom, the message, don't make it the bad guy. Just make it the messenger that tells you, oh, there's something to change. There's something that has to be, perhaps something you can do. And it might be to go to the doctor, but still, it's a message that, time to get some support, time to, and maybe it might be you need a second opinion too, or get some, ask someone or learn something new, all these things. Start with the heart. And then down to the base of the spine, the root chakra. So I visualize the color red. This is the color with the slowest frequency so that it's more about structure. And structure is important for stability. So it's not like there's anything wrong with any one of these. They all have their positives and out of balance. For example, too much can make you rigid, feel stuck. But you want to have enough to feel safe. Good. And then moving up to the second chakra, which resides approximately 2 inches below the navel and 2 inches in to the body, but it's not relegated to that specific pinpoint location. It's more of a sphere. It expands, can expand and contract. Color orange. And then to the solar plexus, third chakra, color can imagine yellow, almost like a rainbow of colors from the spectrum, moving from the red to the orange to the yellow, and then we'll move into the higher frequency colors. From there to back to the heart, color green. Stay with your body, your awareness inside. And the mind can wander, but then gently bring it back to the present and to the sensations in the body. Moving up to the throat, color to visualize is blue. And then moving up the throat to the brow, little area between the eyebrows, also known as third eye or brow chakra, sixth chakra. Color purple. And then to the crown. Imagine all of this energy moving clockwise from the top. You are looking down over your body. And you try to, the balance here is that all chakras are rotating and flowing in that similar direction. And one isn't overly open or blocked than any of the others. So there's this harmony. This when it's like a bunch of gears that are turning and they're all in working together. You want to envision and see this, the value of having all these energy centers not overly active, getting one more than the other, for example, someone could become very highly intuitive, but not be stable. And so, all of a sudden they're, getting all these messages, but they don't have the earth connection. So we need all of these to be working together. We want to acknowledge that and just value that we value this balance of these centers in our lives. And then I'm going to want to clear the higher source connection, imagining 12 inches above the crown, like a little antenna where we can find a connection to the higher source, knowledge, creativity, love. Okay, so we're going to get ready to come out now. I want you to bring your hands together. Again, expressing gratitude. Take a nice deep breath in and breathe in all that energy, healing energy into your heart. Let it permeate every cell in your body. And then turning your hands out, allowing that energy to flow out into the world. So I want to thank you all for coming, but I do want to say, take time to transition from deeper states of consciousness so that you don't just jump up. It's like being in yoga class, they'll do shavasana. And then I used to, many years ago, I would just sit in a waiting area for about 15 minutes to sort of come back to the planet, right? And that can happen, especially if you're a sensitive person, you go, into a transcendent state easily. You want to go gently, slowly transitioning from one of these treatments or a meditation. Highly recommend you take your time so you don't startle your system. We want to be able to go deep, but we also want to be able to come out gently so that we don't agitate our system. So with that, I'm going to have to bid you all a good night and say thank you for coming. Peace, namaste, and we'll see you next week. I will, again, I've been talking about changing my time, but next Wednesday we'll be meeting at this time again, 7 to 7:30 on Wednesday, as I have another conflict. So slowly, hopefully I'll be able to transition to a Monday, but we'll see. At any rate, next week, Wednesday again. So take care and see everybody next time. Thanks.
Thank you. Namaste, Chi.
Oh, you're welcome. Take care.